Aries, and welcome to your tarot card reading for June 2024. It is a fantastic big month, everyone. June is huge. We have Jupiter now in Gemini. We have the sun through there. We've got Venus. We've got Mercury racing through. We're going to have the activation of Cancer later on. We've got Mars in Taurus. So there's going to be a lot of activity that goes on. It's going to be a fantastic month to really see progress, to see developments, to see and feel that true sense of hope that these manifestations, that this lifestyle that you are hoping to cultivate is actually and truly possible for you. So I think generally speaking, there are going to be a lot of really wonderful things that happen for the most part. And there's going to be this new sense of revival that kind of rushes through everything. So I think it's going to be a fantastic month. So as you're watching these tarot card readings, you are free to watch for either your sun, moon, or rising sign. However, when I do reference transits, probably the rising sign is going to be the most accurate in terms of house placement. So just keep that in mind. Another really quick little thing, I'm going to be starting to post really short dailies on YouTube. I've already been posting them on Instagram and TikTok, and I just really wanted to incorporate these on YouTube as well. 1 to 2 minute daily astrology, daily tarot card pulls. So if you really want to make sure that you hit those, please make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell so you get the notification every time those get posted. Those will probably get started June 1st. Okay, so just FYI on that. Also, the comprehensive readings, we go really, really in deep in these comprehensive readings every month. We get a whole second reading. So if you want to join for that, you are more than welcome. All the information on how to access those are going to be found on the pinned comment down below. I'll pin a comment there, and you can also find it in the description box too. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you all so much. I love you. Have a great month, and I'll talk to you soon. Hello, Aries. Welcome to your June reading. So we're going to get started here with a card from this Animal Spirit deck. So what is it that Aries needs to know for the month of June 2024? Okay, the Elk Spirit. It says, stand tall and maintain your dignity no matter what, and others will treat you with the respect that you deserve. So this is kind of one of those ultimate messages of self-respect, right? Really trusting yourself, not backing down, not cowering to anything or anyone, and just really standing in your value, standing in your morals, standing in your path, and standing there proudly and not second guessing yourself and not letting anyone else's opinions or anyone else's thoughts or anyone else's anything really dictate what you do or don't do or how you feel about it. I think this is a moment of positive pride, like a really positive pride in oneself, a pride in what you're doing, a pride in your ideas, and a realization that things could go really far if you continue in this direction. This is kind of just like I'm kind of getting like an F off energy. Like if anyone tries to come at Aries is going to be like F off, screw off. I'm not going to dignify this with any kind of response at all. And I don't think Aries is really that available for anything other than something that is positive, something that is growing, something that is in their benefit, or if they can benefit someone else, And so I think Aries is showing up in all the right places. And I don't know that we'll see what else the cards have to say, but I kind of feel like you're just in a really good place to start seeing some massive progress. Okay. Now, quick note, right? Jupiter, we have to talk about Jupiter coming into Gemini. It's such a big deal. Jupiter coming into Gemini, third house activity. This is going to be a fantastic transit for most Aries, unless you have some really hard placements in Gemini or something, or Sagittarius or something. But, I think generally speaking, a third house Jupiter you're going to see a lot of brainstorming, a lot of new creativity, a lot of new people coming into your life, new collaborations, new information, new connections, new options, a lot of just new things coming your way. There's a lot of expansion with Jupiter in the third. Okay, a lot of creativity and a lot of courage and a lot of life force energy. I personally really, really love the third house a lot. Okay, it's one of my favorite houses, and I know that's maybe a weird thing to say for an astrologer. Third house people don't really talk about that much, but it is a really beautiful house. And I think with this card that says faith, I think you should have faith first and foremost in yourself, in your knowledge, in your current life experience, and faith in something higher than yourself, whether it's God or the universe or just your higher self that is guiding you and communicating with you and is pulling you with the North Node in Aries still, right? Really pulling you toward some kind of a new destiny. Okay? So let's see what else comes out with the tarot cards. What else for Aries? Oh. It's so humid here in Mississippi. My cards are all stuck together. Okay. There we go. All right. The Tower. Beautiful. Yeah, I think things change, and I think we're all feeling that shift of Jupiter. We're all feeling the shift of Pluto. We're just feeling the after effects of the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and the eclipse that we had back in April. It's like things are just different now. And we're treating our projects differently. We're treating our goals differently. And I do with the Queen of Coins, like clearly Aries is extremely goal-oriented. Clearly you have your eye on some kind of prize. But the one thing about the Queen of Coins, I have to say every single time when she comes out, okay, you have to pay attention to your environment because this is, I call her my gardener, all right? And you have to pay attention to the water that you're feeding yourself. You have to pay attention to the sunlight. You have to pay attention to the dirt and the soil in which you're surrounding yourself, right? So the people, the diet, the exercise, the home environment, the consumption online, social media, right? Pay attention to everything that you possibly can to ensure that you are living in the best possible environment for your growth. Because if you're surrounded by people or if you're consuming junk TV or news or really negative things, it's going to really sour this potential that is just oozing out of you. And there is so much potential. And I would hate to see you thwart it simply because there are external influences that are impacting you in some kind of a negative way. Because the shift with the Tower card is so potent and powerful that really it opens up a million different doors for you. So even though you may have like one path or several goals, right? Clearly your eye is on some kind of a goal, whether it's a financial goal or the development of a new product or building a new business or building a family or finding the love of your life, like whatever your goal is, clearly there's a linear direction there, but there are a million different ways for you to get there, right? If it's a linear path, okay, great, but which linear path? A lot of those, right? So I think there are just things have shifted, you can tell. And with the Three of Wands, there is a message of prosperity and wealth coming toward you, abundance coming toward you. And with the Queen of Coins and Three of Wands together, there is a degree of receptivity, right? You are in a more receiving mode. Now, I'm not saying you're not exerting masculine effort, because when we have the Tower card, this is a card ruled by Mars. So there is this element of like aggression to it. I think Aries is actually forcing this Tower a little bit. Like there is power and effort put behind this. It's somewhat happening to you. It's somewhat environmental. It's somewhat astrological, and it's somewhat a force of will. Because Mars is usually a force of will. It's because we will something into existence that this Tower happens. All right. So as you are pushing, it is inevitable that this Tower occurs. And yet you are also in balance with the receptivity. So you are receiving new ideas. You are receiving, and actually, Jupiter in Gemini, it's not just that, right? We've got Venus, we've got the Sun in Gemini, we've got Mercury coming through Gemini as well. Mercury comes in on June 3rd. Okay, and Mercury is moving very, very quickly. So things are just going to be moving fast in general. And Mercury being the messenger, being in rulership, with the amplification of Gemini, with Jupiter in there, with the Sun too. Like there's just a lot of room for messages to be received. And so that's through other people, through new ideas, through bursts of insight when you're sitting in the shower or driving in the car. So like you're receiving all the time. We're in like massive reception mode right now. And those ideas, not all of them will come to fruition, but there's probably going to be one or two that can absolutely launch and propel you into completely new degrees of life, completely new degrees of lifestyle, completely new degrees of finances, completely new degrees of like all your situations. Okay, so it's just really important for Aries to know that there's this beautiful balance going on as you are progressing forward. Okay, man, that Three of Coins has been well, that one really wanted to come out. Okay, I see. I'm loving this. All right. Things have really changed from the past several months because I've been talking a lot about, especially like with Pisces and Aries and Taurus, especially. Sometimes Pisces season can mix in because it's a very isolated time. But through Aries and Taurus, I've been really hammering on this idea that we are kind of in this independent place, right? That we are autonomous. We have to put the load on our own shoulders, hold ourselves accountable. But when we start moving into Gemini, there's more of a community-oriented nature to it. It opens up a little bit. It's not just all about us and what we can do for ourselves and our self-reliance, okay? So when we step into the Gemini realm, we start integrating a lot from other people. And this is why I'm talking about your consumption, what you see online, what you're reading, what you're watching. Because if you are watching things that help you and provide value or teach you things, and of course, Gemini is all about learning. Even Cancer, there's a lot of learning that happens in Cancer as well. So even as we move through both of these seasons through June, because let's not forget, at the end of June, we move into Cancer. So we have that archetype activated as well. But as we do this, we start learning and listening to others, and we say, oh, well, that's something that I could really use. And oh, there's something else I could really use for my coin, which is my goal right here with the Queen of Coins. I can sort of cherry pick a lot of these incredible things from all these incredible people, put them together in a package that makes sense for me and my goals and what I'm doing, and then I can move forward. And I can build things with people and I can plan with people and we can do these creative brainstorming sessions. And, I realize that 2 brains are better than 1 or 10 brains are better than just mine. And, we can learn from others' mistakes and I can use their systems and implement for me so I don't have to develop my own. There's all sorts of different ways to leverage other people and that you have a lot of value to provide them too. Like it's not just a take. There's an absolute flow and an absolute give and take, especially with the Two of Cups. Now, Aries, you may really start collaborating with people that is mutually beneficial, and you may start having really good conversations with people. You may sign some incredible clients. You may meet someone incredible if you're out there dating. I kind of feel like it's really the relationship department, not necessarily romance, although it could be, but it could be all different kinds of relationships, professional ones, platonic ones that just come into your life a little bit more effortlessly. And I know that I know this is kind of old news, but back in 2021, when Saturn came into Aquarius, 2021, 2022, I do think Aries really retracted a lot and that Saturn had a somewhat isolating effect for Aries, coming through that 11th house there. And there was a lot of detachment. You probably detached from a lot of your friend groups during that time. And I know there was the pandemic and everything, but, I think just astrologically, it was kind of a colder, cooler time. And even now, Saturn being in Pisces, there is kind of that isolating effect. But I think more than anything, Saturn in Pisces in the 12th house is dissolving your social structures so that you can rebuild new ones for this new platform that you're building. And that this revision is going to be beneficial for when Saturn comes into Aries it's going to be 25, but really it's going to land in 2026 because it'll retrograde back and forth a little bit between Aries and Pisces between 25 and 26. 26, it officially comes into Aries, okay? So when we hit 2026, a couple years from now, that's going to be the time when you're going to really start implementing new structures for your own personal identity. But who you associate with now is going to help you to develop that. So you want to make sure that, I know I'm going way ahead of schedule here, but I think it's worthy to think about. And because we're like standing tall, maintain your dignity, like why are we associating with people that don't lift us up and we're not lifting them up? If there are unhealthy people in our lives that don't want to grow and they don't want to develop and they're stubborn and stuck and angry and, and in pain, and they don't want to look at their pain and they deflect and they repress and they have no desire to like go to therapy or something, right? Like, okay, well, if they're not going to help themselves, I can't help them, right? So we got to move on and we got to start developing connections with people where they actually talk to me and we actually have deep, meaningful conversations and we have creative brainstorming and all this kind of stuff, right? So these are going to be much more beneficial. But with the strength card in the middle, it's going to take some courage for you to really get out there and to try to associate with new people. It's going to take some courage to get involved, to start branching out, especially if you are a more private person. Like not all Arians are like super extroverted, right? There's a lot of really introverted Arians out there. And that's not always the easiest thing to do, to put yourself out there in that kind of way, especially in platonic ways, like with friendships and things like that. That's not always the easiest thing as an adult. So I do think it's going to take a lot of courage for Aries to branch out and to challenge themselves in terms of meeting these new people and starting to make these new connections. But really, it's not just about the relationships. It's about the information that is provided through these other minds, through the minds and hearts and life experiences of others, accumulating a lot of that information, processing it and implementing it. Because even Gemini, which is very mind-oriented, it also rules the hands. And there's a lot of hands-on types of activities that should be going on during this time. Not to mention, we also have Mars coming into Taurus on the 9th. Yes, Mars comes into Taurus on the 9th of June. So we're still going to have a lot of that Taurian energy too, which is very hands-on, very hardworking, very survivalist, money-oriented, like working in the world to build something substantial. So, we have all these dynamics going on. It's a beautiful thing. And that's why I love the Tower, because it's like, it's just different now. The environment is completely different. Like there are no restrictions really, unless it's internal in your head, which of course we all have that, but there really are no restrictions. 5 of Swords. And I think this is going to be challenging. Okay, and it's going to be triggering. And, Jupiter is a benefic planet, as we know. It is a planet that can bring really, really great things, but it can also be somewhat stormy because the expansion effect, the amplification and magnification that it brings, sometimes it can trigger, like especially when it changes signs like it is now from Taurus into Gemini, when it changes signs, it's going to magnify that shift experience. And sometimes when we feel that big shift, immediately our ego will kick in or our fear will kick in, 5 of Swords, and we're going to kind of revert back into, or we're going to want to try to revert back into something that we're trying to also move away from at the same time. Like we want to move away from it. We want to grow from it. But the tendency is to go back. Now, the 5 of Swords can also include other people too, right? We've got 3 people here, which are really positive and productive, and then 3 people here, which are not. So the contrast between healthy, valuable relationships and unhealthy, not super valuable. Now, I'm not saying they're not valuable. That's actually probably not the best word to say, but not, like they're not progressing, okay? either like one of you is not growing, whatever, or you're just not meshing very well. I often see this as being really cyclical. Like we tend to have the same arguments, we have the same conversations, we end up in the exact same place all the time, over and over again. It just goes round and round and round and round with that Five of Swords. It's like no one ever wins ever. It's just kind of this full consumption. You're consuming them, they're consuming you, like you're suffocating each other kind of deal. It's just not like, there's just not the right place for Aries to be. And this is what I mean by focusing on the environment. Because if this is something that is consuming you and you continue to consume it, maybe it's not people. Maybe it's like a cyclical pattern, like a financial spending pattern or a romantic pattern or something like that. But it's the pattern itself maybe that's consuming you. This is absolutely something that needs to be contend with. And I think what's cool about Gemini is that it doesn't put a lot of pressure on us. This is not like a high pressure type of time. And even in Cancer season, it's not a high pressure type of time. This probably will coincide down here, this row, with Cancer season. So end of June. End of June, actually, FYI too, we have Saturn stationing retrograde. End of the month. 29th, he officially retrogrades. Neptune is also stationing retrograde, happens July 2nd. So just a couple days after the end of June, Neptune will also be retrograding. So as we get closer to the end of June, both Saturn and Neptune are slowing way, way, way down. So it makes sense that there is some of this stuff coming up. Especially also to note, Neptune is retrograding at the 29th degree. So it's of Pisces, the very last degree of the entire zodiac. It's a very powerful retrograde, the second to last retrograde over this degree, because what's going to happen in 25, Saturn and Neptune come together. They both come into Aries together, and then they're going to retrograde back over that 29th degree again together, and then they come back together again into Aries. So it's like this whole year back and forth. It's going to be somewhat reminiscent of like the Jupiter-Pluto. Here was Pluto, here was Jupiter going like this in Capricorn in 2020. Different stuff, different issues, different economic issues, different global issues, but still like a really big thing, okay? Like a huge transit going on. And I think this is one of the retrogrades that's going to kind of have a little bit of foreshadowing with it, okay? So this stuff that's coming up is going to be, I think meant for release, meant for freedom and liberation, especially with the Tower card, especially with the Faith card here, right? It's coming up so you can eliminate it, so you can get it out of your life so that it won't be problematic later on. And with that Hermit card, I think there is going to be, I know this is a weird thing to say with the Hermit card, but there is going to be, I think, a lack of understanding of why this Five of Swords is still present. Why is this issue still here? Why do I still, like with all my awareness and all my growth and all my spiritual healing and all of this, why is this pattern still showing up for me? Why is it? And I think there are going to be a lot of questions about this Five of Swords. When you start seeing all this progress and you start seeing things coming to fruition and you start seeing your goals actually actualizing themselves, or you're actually doing it, but when you see everything coming into realization, and yet your Five of Swords is still here, you're like, well, from a law of attraction standpoint, maybe I shouldn't be attracting this. So why is it still coming up for me? Why is this still a part of my vibration? Why is this still a part of my MO? So there might be a lot of questions in terms of why this is still coming through. And I don't know that you're going to really land on any answers in terms of that, at least not right now. This probably has a lot to do with Pluto retrograding back into Capricorn and sort of still keeping that past stuff alive, because we're not like officially out of that era quite yet, right? Not until like November, December of this year are we completely donezo with Pluto and Capricorn, okay? So it's like still that same old stuff that just keeps going on. But ultimately, the King of Wands, like your vision is so grand, your vision is so big. I don't know that the Five of Swords is going to be enough to stop you. It's definitely not going to stop you, especially if you actually do try to cultivate these kinds of relationships and you do try to create alliances and collaborations with high quality people. You're going to be pulled more in that direction, but it depends on how much effort you put into it. Because if you don't put effort into this, and that's why the Strength card is in the very center, because it is going to require that effort. And it is going to require you to kind of get over any pride or get over any insecurities or get over any kinds of things that had been holding you back. It's kind of like, well, you can still feel those things, but you got to kind of do it anyway. You have to push. You have to get uncomfortable. And I've been saying for months and months and months that 2024 is absolutely not the time to stay comfortable. This is the time to be absolutely uncomfortable all the time, because that is where the growth is really going to start to happen. If you're comfortable and you're looking around and everything is just kind of normal, I would recommend shaking it up a little bit somehow. I don't know what you need to do, but I would recommend shaking it up. But the King of Wands, like, the vision is there. The vision is driving everything. And I know you can't see because he's looking out over all this Hermit and the Five of Swords. And I know you can't see and really understand why this Five of Swords keeps coming up for you, but it doesn't really matter. The breaking of the pattern is going to be found in the new production of new things and the new life that you are created. It is not found in rehashing the past, because if you continue to go back there and try to keep figuring it out, you're just feeding the Five of Swords even that much more. We don't need to feed it. We don't need to nourish it. We don't need to do anything with it. We don't need to figure it out. I don't know that right now is the time for resolution. I don't. Like, Gemini is not a time for all the answers, okay? It's a time for just making new connections, that's all. So we don't have to be all philosophical about everything. I think we can just move on, and eventually it will fade into the background. And maybe it will come up for resolution later, and then we can deal with it later. I just don't know that we have to really hash it out now, okay? All right, let's pull out the clarifiers. So for those of you who are new here, the cards we are about to pull out are the cards we'll cover in the comprehensive reading. It's like 25 to 30 minutes extra. So it's like a whole separate reading. We get really in detail. We talk more in depth about all these cards. So if you want to join, the link is in the description box and the pinned comment thread down below. So I'd love it if you joined. Let's go ahead and take a look here, see what comes through. All right. Another Hermit card. What else for Aries for June? Queen of Wands, beautiful, the Aries card. And the Strength card. Yeah, there is this force of will. That Tower was definitely created by you, for you. Beautiful. Sun card. King of Swords. Kind of also feeling that King of Wands might be someone connected with the Two of Cups. Five of Coins. Queen of Cups. Not going to be surprised if we get a lot of court cards. Not surprised at all. Another Two of Cups, yeah. Queen of Cups is also not you. That's also someone else. Knight of Coins. More people, more court cards. Seven of Wands, Seven of Coins. Knight of Swords. Oops. Sorry, wasn't looking. Justice. The Emperor. That's definitely you. Page of Wands. Ten of Coins. Queen of Coins. Ace of Wands. Beautiful. The Empress. This is really where that dignity comes in, isn't it? And the Moon card. Yeah, see the Moon. Doesn't feel resolved. Six of Coins, Ten of Wands. Queen of Swords, Knight of Cups, more court cards. Not surprised. The Magician, and last but not least, the Death card. Ooh, Death and Tower. I love that combination. Okay, so this is where we're going to pick up Aries. So in the comprehensive, if you want to join, you are welcome. Thank you all so much. You guys know how much I love and adore you. Have an amazing June, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.